All right, so you have gotten yourself a 3D scanner. Congratulations. You've got it set up. You go to start scanning, and what do you get? This. Why? Well, it comes down to tracking. Your scanner lost tracking. What you just experienced is called tracking loss. Your scanner forgot what it's looking at. So what can you do? Well, it's going to vary depending on what you're scanning. If you're using a feature tracking mode, you want something that's going to have unique features. Like David. Hi, David. So this is one of the busts that you'll see come with a 3D scanner. And it's a fantastic way to learn how to feature track an object. It works so well because it's got a ton of unique organic features. So a subject like David here has got a lot of points, shapes, crevices, whatever you want to call them. Geometrically, it's got a lot going on. It's also organic shapes. So it's not geometrical, it's not repeating. It is unique from every angle. You cannot look at this from one point of view and confuse it for another. The same thing is true for your scanner. When you have a subject like David here and you're scanning it, it's going to give you this perfect, easily tracked scan every time. It's one of the easiest things to master. Though if you're to try with something like a block of wood, does this have features? Yes. Does it have features that make it easy for you to identify? Like you can see this knot in the wood. Cool, your scanner can't. It's looking at defined geometric features, defined points. And to the scanner, there's nothing different from this unique point and possibly this point or this point. Or if your scanner has a narrow field of view and you're scanning a larger block, it can't tell where it is on a plane, and you're going to get that skating or occasional whoosh where it just grows in one dimension. There's nothing to easily track. Your scanner will try. It will do its best. But something like this is going to be pretty hard to feature track. Now, you look at something like this wooden puzzle here. It's got a lot of points, a lot of spots that you can easily see and track. Your eyes tell you what you're looking at. But to a scanner, we're going to have the same problem. How is this face different from this face? Well, it's different now, but it's repeating. It's a lot of the same things. Don't fall apart now. I don't feel like trying to solve you. You get what I'm saying. Yes, there's a lot of features, but they're repeating. They're not unique. Your scanner's going to have a hard time telling one side from another. So it might look complicated to your eyes, but to your scanner, not enough going on. How can you get around that? Well, we have a couple different options here. If you don't have unique features, you can add unique features. So if I've got something like this wooden block on my turntable, and I want to be able to scan that, how can I make it easy to track? I can add something like white tack. This stuff is a lifesaver when you just want to do a feature scan and you don't want to use markers. Just adding a few pieces of this will give you organic shapes that your scanner can track. So if we were to take a quick practice scan at this, we're going to have a very easy time tracking it because these are all unique points. Not a single one of these is identical to the other, easily tracked. Works great every time. But that is not always an option. So what else can you do? Well, if you don't have features to track, especially if you're using a large flat object, or if you're using a laser mode, which cannot feature track, tracking dots. These reflective dots will reflect the scanner's light directly back to its, for lack of a better term, eyes. So when you have those, something like these marker blocks, these become the unique features. So when you're using them, it's critical. Oh, hey, look, there's a little magnet in there. It's critical that they do not repeat. So when you look at this pyramid, each side has those markers in a different spot. It doesn't repeat. That way, when the scanner sees this angle, it sees these four, it knows that is a different view than these four or these four. And as you're scanning, as long as it can see enough of these tracking dots, it can keep track of what you're scanning. So let's give it a shot. Okay, we have got David set up on our Cult Classic turntable. We've got the MetroX on its tripod. It's tilted down at about a 30-degree angle. We do that simply because it gives us a good angle to capture David at. It just gives us a little bit more depth when it's looking from forehead to base, and it just helps with the tracking. Anytime you're tracking an object, you want to try and have depth in the capture. So instead of, say, capturing an object straight on, when you give an angle, your scanner's now got multiple points that it can track. He said using an out of focus piece of wood. So let's scan. All right, David is scanning. So when you're using feature tracking mode, what you like to do is just try to get a good rotation and maybe some change. And by that, I mean, just give it a chance to overlap a little bit. Because one of the big benefits when it comes to feature tracking is you can pause and adjust your object. So we've got this nice rotation with David here. Let's pause our scan. And now we can lay it down. So when you're using feature scan, the scanner can actually find those previous reference points pretty quick and use those to resume the scan. And it just, when you're scanning an organic object, it speeds things up dramatically. Look at that. And I like to go a little bit overboard and take multiple passes with slightly different angles. It's just a good best practice, because that way when you're starting or resuming a feature scan, you have overlap. It sees the same features again. And the more overlap you have between angles, the faster you'll gain tracking and the higher quality your tracking will be. Now, sometimes you will find when you're feature tracking that you may end up with slightly misaligned frames. Generally, the software will find those and fix them for you. You can see once again how quickly it grabbed. And this is one of those scans, it's going to come out great with no real work needed, just because it's such an easy to track object. Oops, my mouse is working out on me over here. And that's it. We've got more than enough frames to have a beautiful scan of David. So let's go ahead and complete our scan. Yeah, we'll do it the other way. We could probably do better than that. Let's just go ahead and bring it down to, I don't know. You know, for sake of speed, let's do 0.2. That'll still look really good. Normally, I go overkill and I'll do 0.05 or 0.1, but that's a little overboard for what we're going for here. Now, don't worry when you see noise like this on the scan itself. It's nothing to worry about. And look at that. Just as a point cloud, that just came out great. Love it. Okay, we've got our next scanning object. This is the bottom shell to an NES controller. It's very old, very beat up, but it doesn't have a lot of unique features. So to a scanner, if you're looking straight on at this, how's that all that different from that? Kind of hard to tell. If you're scanning close up or with a scanner with a narrow field of view, and you've only got that to go on, it's even harder. So something like this, could you feature scan it? Maybe. But could you feature scan it with lasers? No, you cannot. You need to use markers. So I'm using my automatic turntable. I won't be rotating it. You generally don't want to rotate for laser scans, but it's got markers on it. Now, when you're scanning with markers, if you've got a good angle on it, you can capture pretty well. But if you come down to an angle, that's when things get a little bit harder. So we'll kind of lose tracking at a shallow angle and pick it back up when we're good again. Now, what you can do about that is use tracker blocks. Now, what I like to do is I'll generally take a couple of these and actually raise my scanning subject. You know, if it's got flat enough surfaces that you can get them to stay on. Grab a few more. I'm a big fan of these dome ones. Now, when you're placing your marker blocks, you want to kind of keep a few different things in mind. But the biggest thing, anytime you're working with markers, is making sure whatever angle you're scanning from, you've got dots visible. So I can see I've got some closer together here. That's going to help me out a bit when I'm scanning from that angle. Let's see. Yeah, big blank spot there. Let's point that towards the object. So let's go ahead and adjust these. This is one of those things, as time goes on and you get more practice in, you start to figure out. Let's place one more under there. A triangle is a much stronger base than a straight line. And it'll give us some dots that are visible from that angle as well. Still pretty loose. There we go. All right. So with something like that, now you can see in my preview window, if I have a good distance, even at a shallower angle, I'm locking onto dots. Now, what's important with marker dots is just like an organic feature. They are being used in place of your feature, but they need to be laid out in a way that is kind of randomized. Otherwise, your scanner might confuse point A and point B. And generally speaking, you'll see when that happens. But if you get something like these marker blocks, and do not add more stickers. If they're all the same, it kind of defeats the purpose. So let's go ahead and scan this. Give myself a little bit of room here. And you can see in the preview window, the marker dots that it can see are illuminated in red. I'm adjusting my exposure. If you see your dots are kind of flickering in and out, try different exposure settings. Yeah, let's go higher. And generally, it's a good idea to try and use global tracker mode or global marker mode. And that's simply because of the fact it really helps out in terms of tracking accuracy and speed. Because I just placed these dots aren't yet known to my scanner. So it's having to kind of learn them as I go. Now, there is one downside to marker scanning compared to feature scanning, and that is you cannot rotate or change the object that you're scanning. So with the David bust, we were able to pick it up, rotate it, and resume scanning. When you're using feature scanning modes, you're going to actually have to do multiple angles, but that's not the worst thing in the world, because you can always fuse those. Now, because I went ahead and put down these domes that give me more visible points from these shallow angles, I can hit steeper inclines that normally I wouldn't be able to get, even though, I keep scanning here, but that's more of a me problem because I'm trying to also look at my camera. Kind of ignored this area over here. We've got way too many frames, but hey, there ain't no kill like overkill. I think we're good. I think we're definitely good. We probably could have done that with about 1,500 frames. But let's go ahead and see how this scan came out. One of the great things about marker tracking is the huge increase you get in accuracy. So once this fuse at 0.29, that's not bad if you're trying to do something like this. I'm going to bring it down just a hair to 0.2. Let's match what we did with David. Look at that. Let's go and clean up this noise a little bit. Not going to go too heavy into it, just, the basics. Generally speaking, when I'm doing cleanup like this, I want, especially if I'm using the plane select, I would use orthogonal view, but no need here. Ooh, did I clip some of my inside points? Yeah, a little bit. That's okay though. Quick isolation check. Overlap check. Let's fine tune that just a bit. Look at that. And that is a very quickly done scan using marker tracking. So whenever you're using markers, you have the luxury of creating your own features. Take advantage of that. Give yourself angles that normally you wouldn't have, or it would be very difficult to capture if you're doing feature tracking. And it'll help speed things up quite a bit. When you have an object that's got a lot of organic features, a lot of non-repeating, non-pattern features, such as a bust, feature tracking all day. All right, so we have successfully scanned an object in marker mode, taking advantage of the fact that we can put these markers wherever we want. And we have scanned in feature mode my David bust. Anytime you have a plain geometric object or something with features that can't be seen, or you can't see a lot of them at once from the scanner's point of view, go for marker mode. It's going to just save you so much time and effort. If you have an object that's got a lot of unique features that the scanner can see all at once and keep track of, use feature mode. Markers are better for dimensional accuracy. If you're reverse engineering, go for that. If you're going for a nice organic scan, if you're doing something for 3D modeling, rendering, feature tracking. Feature tracking can be just as accurate if you've got enough features, but markers just win for that. Hopefully you've learned something today. If you haven't, I tried my best. It's your turn. Go ahead, go out, try your best, experiment, see what you can get. Have fun scanning, and I'll upload when I upload.